The wealthy look at you and they see something you don't see in yourself. They see your potential rotting away, wasted on excuses and comfort zones. And here's the brutal truth they'll never say to your face. They don't hate you. They don't look down on you. They feel something far worse. They feel sorry for you because you have everything you need to be rich, but you refuse to use it. That pity, it's not about your bank account. It's about your mindset. It's about watching someone drown in 3 feet of water because they won't stand up. Mindset is everything. Today, I'm going to expose exactly what goes through the mind of the wealthy when they observe those who struggle financially. Not the polished interviews, not the motivational speeches. The raw, unfiltered truth that will either wake you up or make you defensive. And your reaction will tell you everything about which side of wealth you're destined to stay on. The pity paradox. Here's something that will make you uncomfortable. When millionaires see someone struggling financially, their first emotion isn't judgment. It's pity mixed with frustration. As billionaire investor Charlie Munger once observed, the best thing a human being can do is to help another human being no more. They see someone with the same 24 hours, the same access to information, the same basic human capabilities, choosing to stay stuck. It's like watching someone complain about being hungry while sitting next to a fully stocked refrigerator they refuse to open. The wealthy know that poverty in developed nations is rarely about lack of resources. It's about lack of resourcefulness. It's about mental programming that says I can't before even trying. They've met people who started with nothing and built empires. They've seen immigrants arrive with empty pockets and full determination, then outpace everyone around them. So when they see someone born with advantages making excuses, they don't feel superior. They feel sad. Sad because they know what's possible. But this pity comes with something else entirely. The excuse detector. Rich people have developed what I call an excuse detector. After years of building wealth, they can spot financial self-sabotage within seconds of a conversation. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall between you and success. When you say I don't have time, they hear I don't prioritize my future. When you say I don't have money to invest, they hear I haven't learned to create opportunity from nothing. When you say the system is rigged, they hear I've accepted defeat before fighting. Excuses equal poverty. The wealthy didn't have special advantages in most cases. Studies show that over 67% of millionaires are self-made, coming from middle-class or lower backgrounds. They simply refuse to let circumstances become excuses. Grant Cardone, who went from broke to billionaire, says something harsh but true. Your excuses are nothing more than lies you tell yourself to avoid doing what you know you should do. When the wealthy hear your excuses, they're not just hearing words. They're hearing your future bankruptcy being written in real time. And what they notice next is even more telling. The envy signal. Nothing reveals your financial programming faster than how you talk about wealthy people. And trust me, they notice. When you say things like must be nice with that bitter undertone, or they probably stepped on people to get there, or money doesn't buy happiness anyway, you're broadcasting a signal that says you believe wealth is dirty, unattainable, or undeserved. The wealthy recognize this signal because many of them used to send it too. Before they got rich, they also resented the successful. Then they realized something profound. Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Your envy doesn't hurt them. It doesn't take anything from their accounts. It only poisons your own mind against the very thing you claim to want. You cannot attract what you subconsciously hate or resent. Psychologically, this is called cognitive dissonance resolution. If you can't have something, your brain makes you believe you don't want it or that it's bad. The wealthy see this pattern everywhere. In comment sections, in family dinners, in office conversations. Envy blocks wealth, and they know that until you celebrate others' success, you'll never achieve your own. But there's something even more disturbing they observe. The comfort addiction. The wealthy have a term for what they see in most people: comfort addiction. It's the drug of the underachiever. Comfort. They watch people choose Netflix over education, choose sleeping in over building a side business, Choose complaining over creating. Choose the easy now over the successful later. And here's what's shocking. They understand it, because comfort is seductive. Biologically, your brain is wired to conserve energy and avoid discomfort. But the wealthy learn to override this programming. Most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. They observe that poor people work hard at their jobs but not on themselves. They'll grind 40 hours a week making someone else rich, but won't spend 1 hour daily on their own growth. Growth requires discomfort. The rich understand that temporary discomfort creates permanent success, while temporary comfort creates permanent struggle. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. When they see someone choosing comfort, they see someone choosing poverty, because wealth is built in the uncomfortable hours that most people avoid. Speaking of avoidance, there's another pattern that screams poverty to the wealthy: the victim frequency. If you want to know how the wealthy truly view the poor, listen to how they respond to victim mentality. It's the one thing that triggers their frustration more than anything else. When someone says, "I was dealt a bad hand," the wealthy think of Oprah Winfrey, born into poverty to a single teenage mother, abused throughout childhood, who became a billionaire. When someone says, "I didn't have the right connections," they think of Jay-Z, who grew up in housing projects selling drugs before building a billion-dollar empire from his talent and hustle. "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman." The wealthy have learned that victim mentality is a form of self-hypnosis. You repeat your limitations so often that they become your identity. Your story becomes your prison. Studies in psychology confirm this. When you externalize blame, you also externalize power. If the problem is out there, so is the solution, which means you're helpless. Victims stay poor. The wealthy chose a different frequency. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "How can I use this?" Every setback is a setup for a comeback, if you choose to see it that way. This shift in perspective is worth millions. But perspective isn't the only thing that separates wealth from poverty. The time equation. Rich people don't just think about money differently. They think about time differently. And when they observe how poor people spend their time, they see the real reason for financial struggle. The average person spends 4 hours daily on social media. 4 hours watching other people live their dreams. 4 hours, that's 28 hours a week. Over 1,400 hours a year. The wealthy do a quick calculation in their heads. If someone invested those hours into learning a high-income skill, starting a business, or building assets, where would they be in 5 years? Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. The rich trade money to save time. The poor trade time to save money. One buys a course for $500 and learns in a week what would take 2 years to figure out alone. The other refuses to invest and stays stuck, thinking they saved money when they actually wasted something far more precious. Time over money. Poor people have big televisions, while rich people have big libraries. This time equation creates a compound effect that separates the wealthy from everyone else. And there's another equation they calculate that you've probably never considered: the circle audit. When the wealthy look at someone who's struggling, one of the first things they assess is their social circle. Not out of snobbery, but out of understanding how influence works. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This isn't just motivational fluff. It's backed by science. Studies in social networks show that obesity, happiness, and even income levels spread through social connections like contagion. If your 5 closest friends are broke and complaining, you will be broke and complaining. The wealthy understand this viscerally because they experience the shift. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours, and you'll drift in that direction. They remember when they started changing their circle, how uncomfortable it was, how some old friends accused them of changing. They did change. That was the point. Your circle equals your future. When rich people see someone surrounded by negativity, limited thinking, and victim mentality, They see someone under a wealth ceiling built by their own relationships. The circle audit reveals your financial future. But there's an even deeper pattern the wealthy have identified: the learning gap. The wealthy have a confession they rarely share publicly. They're addicted to learning, not the kind of learning that happens in school, but continuous, obsessive self-education. And they're shocked by how little most people read or learn after formal education ends. The statistics are disturbing. The average CEO reads 60 books per year. The average person reads less than one. Let that sink in. The people running billion-dollar companies read 60 times more than those struggling to pay rent. In my whole life, I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time. None. Zero. The wealthy see a direct correlation between earning and learning. Every book is a mentorship session with someone who spent decades mastering their field. Every podcast is an MBA compressed into an hour. Every course is a shortcut through years of trial and error. Earn more, learn more. Formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. When the wealthy see someone who hasn't read a book in years complaining about their income, they see cause and effect perfectly aligned. Your income will never exceed your personal development, but there's one final truth that the wealthy observe that changes everything: the belief mirror. The deepest truth that wealthy people understand about poverty has nothing to do with money. It has to do with beliefs. Specifically, beliefs about deserving. When they look at someone who's poor, they often see someone who deep down doesn't believe they deserve wealth. Someone who was programmed in childhood to believe that wanting money is greedy, that rich people are bad, that they should be grateful for what they have and not ask for more. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. This programming runs deep. It shows up in how people price their services too low, how they feel guilty when they do make money, how they unconsciously sabotage opportunities that could change their lives. Your external world is a reflection of your internal beliefs about what you deserve. The wealthy know that before they got rich, they had to believe they could be rich. They had to feel worthy of abundance. They had to reprogram decades of scarcity thinking. Believe, deserve, receive. Your bank account is a mirror of your self-worth. And until you look in that mirror honestly, nothing external will change. This brings us to the most important point of all: the hidden respect. Here's the truth that will either destroy you or rebuild you. The wealthy don't think you're inferior. They don't think you're stupid. They don't think you're destined to be poor. They think you're asleep. They see your untapped potential screaming beneath the surface. And that's what frustrates them. Not your poverty, but your dormant greatness. Every self-made millionaire was once exactly where you are. Broke, struggling, doubting. The only difference is they woke up. They stopped accepting the programming. They stopped believing the limitations. The graveyard is the richest place on earth, because it is here that you will find all the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled. The wealthy look at you and see a lion who thinks it's a sheep. They see someone capable of building empires living in mental poverty. And secretly, many of them want to shake you awake. You have the same hours in a day as every billionaire who ever lived. The question isn't whether you can be wealthy. The question is whether you'll choose to be. Because the wealthy know something you might be starting to realize. Wealth is a choice. It's a series of choices made daily. And every day you don't make them is a day you choose poverty. So what do the rich really think about the poor? They think about themselves, their former selves, the version of them that made excuses, blamed circumstances, resented success, and stayed comfortable in mediocrity. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. They see the poor not as a different species, but as mirrors reflecting who they used to be before they changed their programming. And they know that anyone, at any moment, can make that same change. The wealth gap isn't about money. It's about mindset. It's about deciding that comfort isn't worth more than your dreams, that excuses aren't worth more than your potential, that your programming isn't worth more than your future. Change your mind, change your life. Right now, you have a choice. You can feel offended by what you've heard and stay exactly where you are, Or you can feel awakened and start becoming who you were meant to be. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty, and now you know how to reprogram it. The wealthy aren't looking down on you. They're looking at you, waiting to see which version of yourself you'll choose to become. If this video exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more uncomfortable truth to uncover. Share this with someone who's ready to wake up.